I was telling my wife on our flight up here that I really like the Canadian flag. It's such a pretty flag, red and white, maple leaf. I think it's just a beautiful, I don't know what it is about that maple leaf. It's very, very captivating and attractive to me. I think it stems from back when I was training as an aspiring Olympic gold medalist, training alongside many of the Canadian gymnasts. And I mentioned earlier today in my lecture that there are great names in Canadian gymnastics history, including Philippe de la Salle and Elfie Schlegel, who've contributed tremendously to Canadian Gymnastics Hall of Fame. And so I think that's why I really like the maple leaf. Anyway, I have to start off by saying I'm not a very gifted, dynamic speaker, and this type of setting is a first for me as well. I've shared my story in high schools and in churches across the United States and even back in Korea, but not in the middle of this wide open space and a student center, no less, on a campus, a university campus. So it's a new experience for me, and I really appreciate and thank all of you for the time that you've all carved out to be here and just to put up with the next hour or so to kind of hear my story. And I'll start off by sharing a little bit about myself today. I am 42 years of age, a Korean-American immigrant, born in Korea and lived about the first 8 years of my life there, and lived from that point on till today, where I am currently in the United States and working as a physician at Johns Hopkins Medical Center. When I first came to the United States with my parents as immigrants, my dad was a pharmacist back in Korea. He had big dreams of pursuing the American dream, and we all packed up our bags and followed our parents and hopped on a plane, and a day and a half later and halfway around the world we were in New York City. And when we arrived in New York, I noticed that the people were very different. They looked very different from what I was used to and what I looked like. Everyone was taller than we were. They had colored hair. They had big blue eyes, big pointy noses. They spoke very funny language and ate food that I just could not imagine eating on a day-to-day basis. How can people just eat bread and drink milk all the time? Why don't they enjoy rice and kimchi like we do? And they use funky-looking utensils called forks and knives. You know, how can you use that? You know, it's so much more comfortable using two sticks, grabbing all that you can to put in your mouth. So anyway, all these things were very odd and strange, and it was a tremendous cultural shock for me, even as an 8-year-old boy. And soon enough, I realized that I was different from the people around me in this new world of mine, and that I was not readily accepted by people, especially people of my level, peers, kids my own age. I would bring to school, you know, my little tin can lunchbox that my mom so carefully and thoughtfully packed for me. And every time lunchtime came around, everyone pulled out their peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, their bologna and cheese sandwiches, and here I am, ready, open up my little tin can lunchbox, and there it was, the white rice, the red kimchi, and tiny little fishes with eyes that were just bulging out and staring at us. And each time I opened up my lunchbox, the kids were just horrified. Oh my gosh, what in the world is that Chinese kid eating? I had qualified to go and train and live with the National Training Center. And I hopped on a Greyhound bus, and 2.5 hours later from New York City, I ended up in Allentown, Pennsylvania, at the Eastern National Gymnastics Training Center. And I lived with kids my age at that time who were all also aspiring to become future Olympic gymnasts. And I lived and went to school and trained day in and day out, trained for 5-6 hours every day with the coaching staff, with the other fellow gymnasts. And each day I missed my family, my parents, but that longing drove me even more to want to see this Olympic dream become a reality, because I knew that that was the ticket, the ultimate ticket for me to see and make this happen for myself and for my family. Times have changed, obviously, from the days when I was a university student. This was back in the early 80s for me, actually, and 20-some years thereafter, now, year 2007, there are obviously different views and different outlooks, even among college students nowadays. As I'm saying this, I really feel kind of old now. But even so, I think we're all human beings. And as human beings, we all have certain needs. Needs that some of us can fulfill on our own, and needs that some of us just can't do that on our own. And that's why it's important for us, I think, to really work together as a community, as a team. And you know, superficially, we say in the medical profession that teamwork is the way to accomplish things, but I'm not sure how sincere that is. But even so, I think the concept of community and teamwork is very key this day and age, in the year 2007, in the university setting for students with specific and special needs, particularly if we're endeavoring to really see diversity and to make diversity a reality in the student body. And so we need to heed what these needs are, and to be sensitive and understanding, as well as being aware. And in order to accomplish that, we really need to be open and honest in informing and educating one another. And I think a lot of the issues and problems stems from just the lack of education, ignorance. And it's not because they're selfish or that they choose not to. It's just because we don't know. We just don't know. I didn't know what it was like to be in a wheelchair until I became being one. And so I think it just takes time to be patient with one another, to be sensitive, and to be understanding and respectful.